The world often feels loud, rushed, and heavy. Some days you may find yourself questioning if God is really near, if heaven is truly real, or if your prayers are just words disappearing into the air. But then, something happens. Something quiet yet powerful. A moment when you feel peace in the middle of chaos. A whisper in your heart that says, "You are not alone." These are not coincidences. They are signs, subtle but undeniable, that you're growing closer to God, and perhaps closer than you've ever imagined to heaven itself. Tonight, I want to take you on a journey, a story that is not just about belief, but about evidence hidden in plain sight. The kind of evidence that shows up in your life when your soul starts aligning with God's will. If you've ever wondered what it really feels like to walk with Him, to sense His presence in everyday life, then listen closely. Because these 7 signs may be unfolding in your story right now without you even realizing it. I remember speaking with a friend who once confessed something to me. He said, "I don't see God working in my life. Maybe I'm too far gone." But as he shared his struggles, I noticed something he didn't. Every example he gave, the patience he never used to have, the love he was slowly learning to give, the peace he felt during sleepless nights, were not signs of distance, but signs of closeness. They were whispers from heaven, proof that even when he thought God was silent, he was nearer than ever. Sometimes, the greatest evidence of spiritual growth is the one we overlook because it doesn't come with loud miracles. It comes with quiet transformation. And maybe, just maybe, you've felt it too. That strange calm in the middle of what should have broken you. The sudden urge to pray when you never used to. The way certain temptations no longer hold the same power over you. Or even the moments when your heart longs for something more than what this world can give. These are not random emotions. These are spiritual signals. Markers along the path that heaven is closer than you think. But here's the question. How do you know for sure? How do you recognize the difference between everyday feelings and divine signs that your relationship with God is deepening? That's what this story will uncover. 7 powerful signs that reveal your heart is drawing nearer to Him, and that eternity itself is within reach. Each one is more surprising than the last, and by the end, you may see your own life in a completely different way. So as we begin this journey, I want you to pause for a moment and ask yourself, have you already noticed changes in your life? Small, subtle, but undeniable? Because if you have, then what comes next might confirm something your heart has been whispering all along. You're not just surviving in this world, you're preparing for the one to come. Heaven is near, and the first sign may already be unfolding in your story. But before we uncover that first sign, let me ask you, what if the very struggles you've been facing are not proof of distance, but the strongest evidence that God is closer than ever? There's a quiet conflict that often lives inside us, one we rarely admit out loud. On one side, there is the deep desire to feel God's presence, to know without a doubt that we are walking with Him. On the other side, there is doubt, fear, and the weight of a world that constantly pulls us in the opposite direction. You may pray, but then wonder if your prayers are strong enough. You may worship, but feel distracted. You may even sense God's hand in your life, yet still question if it's just your imagination. This tension, between faith and uncertainty, is one of the clearest signs that something deeper is happening within your soul. Think about the nights when you lie awake, asking yourself why certain struggles won't go away. Maybe you feel the silence of unanswered prayers, or maybe you wonder why temptation keeps showing up at your door. Some people take this silence as proof that God is distant. But what if that silence is not absence, but preparation? What if the very conflict inside you, the push and pull between trust and doubt, is part of God's way of drawing you closer? There are also moments in life when people around you may not understand what you're going through. You may feel isolated in your faith, as if no one can see the battles inside your heart. Yet that loneliness can be a test, a refining fire shaping you for something greater. The world may tell you to give up, to chase comfort instead of conviction, but your spirit keeps pulling you back toward God. And it's in that hidden tug-of-war that the truth begins to reveal itself. Heaven may be nearer than you think, But here's the question, what if this inner conflict is not a weakness at all, but the very proof that your story is shifting toward him? There comes a moment in every journey of faith where the weight of the unknown feels almost unbearable. You pray harder, you seek answers in the Word, and yet the silence only seems to grow louder. It's as if heaven itself is holding its breath, waiting for you to decide whether you will give in to fear or hold on to trust. That tension, the space between what you can see and what you can't, is often where the most powerful signs of God's nearness appear. But at first, it doesn't feel like a sign at all. It feels like a storm. Imagine standing at the edge of a dark valley, knowing you have to walk through it, but unable to see what waits on the other side. Every step feels heavy. Your thoughts keep whispering, what if God isn't listening? What if you've been forgotten? And yet, even as those thoughts try to drown out your faith, something inside you refuses to let go. That inner pull is not weakness. It's a signal that heaven's hand is closer than you realize. This is the point where the struggle intensifies. Old temptations suddenly resurface. People around you may question your choices. Life throws unexpected trials that seem designed to test every ounce of strength you have left. And just when you think you've reached your breaking point, there's a strange shift. A sense that these battles are not random, that they're shaping you for something greater. The signs of growing closer to God often appear in these fiery moments, hidden in the very places you want to escape. But what if the greatest sign of all is not found in comfort, but in the storm itself? What if the very tension you're feeling is proof that heaven is nearer than ever, and that the first unmistakable sign is just about to be revealed? Just when it feels like the storm itself might be the final test, something unexpected happens. It isn't the calm you were waiting for, nor the clear answer you prayed for. Instead, life takes another sharp turn, one you never saw coming. The very things you thought were stable begin to shift. A trusted friend suddenly pulls away. An opportunity you were depending on vanishes overnight. Or maybe a long-buried struggle rises back to the surface with more force than before. It feels like everything is unraveling at once, and you begin to wonder, how could this be part of drawing closer to God? This is where the second layer of conflict comes in, the twist no one ever expects. Because while you are focused on surviving the storm, a deeper challenge begins to take shape. It isn't just about enduring the outer trials. It's about confronting what's happening inside your heart. Doubts you thought you left behind suddenly grow louder. Questions you never dared to ask start echoing in your mind. You wonder if you've misunderstood everything. The prayers, the peace, the signs of heaven being near. Could it all have been in your head? Yet, even in this unraveling, something powerful stirs. In the middle of loss, you find yourself clinging to small moments of strength you can't explain. In the silence of doubt, a sudden thought or scripture comes back to you at just the right time. And in your weakest nights, when your faith feels paper thin, there's an unshakable pull that keeps whispering, "Don't let go." The very fact that you're wrestling this hard may be the evidence that something greater is breaking through. This twist raises the stakes because now the conflict is not just about surviving trials around you, it's about the war within. Will you believe that these struggles are shaping you, or will you let the weight of them convince you that God is distant? This is where the journey of spiritual growth becomes most dangerous and most beautiful. Because the closer you get to God, the louder the resistance becomes. And the louder the resistance, the greater the proof that heaven is near. But here's the question that hangs heavy in this moment. If the signs of God's nearness are hidden inside both peace and pain, what will happen when the next, undeniable sign is revealed? The answer may change the way you see every battle you've ever faced.